I think if you ask Anay, he'll be like, my mom is anything but calm.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Parenthood, a space where we sit with real parents, listen to honest stories, and explore all the quiet, beautiful, messy, surprising layers of raising a family while living a full life ourselves. Every week, we meet someone whose journey opens a new window into what parenting can look like. And today's guest is someone whose story is full of strength, softness, resilience, humor, and a kind of day by day courage that deserves to be heard with tenderness. I'm truly honored to have with me Nishkka Manglani, a public relations and communications professional and mother to 14-year-old Anay, her biological child who lives with cerebral palsy. Nishka describes her parenting journey as unique to the normal, full of learning and profoundly rewarding, a sentiment that already tells you how gracefully she holds complexity. She has been parenting in a world that isn't always built to support differences, yet she has found ways to create joy, build connection, and stay present with her child in a way that I find incredibly inspiring. And I'm grateful that she is here to share this world with us today. Nishka, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, pleasure. And thank you for that introduction.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And let's start with you. To start us off, could you describe yourself using three words or phrases, the ones that feel closest to who you are today?
Three words that describe myself.
Yes.
Uh, okay, I'd say I'm warm,
Mm-hmm.
humble,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the third is maybe tired. Yeah.
Okay. And that brings me to tell us a little bit about your family and, of course, about Anay. What is he like? What lights him up? And what have the last 14 years with him been like?
So, I mean, honestly, like life, we were just talking about how things were. So, just for everyone's context, Neha and I go back, way back when Twitter was just a thing. I think over 20 years ago, 19
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And life was so different then. And I was expecting life to go on a trajectory which is normal, right? I was expecting and I was hoping things will go as planned. And then I delivered Anay in my seventh month. He was born prematurely at 26 weeks. And I remember being in that delivery room and just shutting down to life,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't expect we didn't expect things to happen that way. And I think I want to say something to moms who probably, may go through journeys like that or have gone through is, the medical system just scares the shit out of us,
Yeah.
instead of holding us at that moment, and saying, no two children are the same. Everyone's going to have, all we were shown was like the worst,
Yeah.
basically, so it really impacts you. So I guess the first 2 or 3 years was just coming to terms with everything. When Anay started speaking his first words is when life, was started, that peak of light came through because he was only
Oh.
2.5. And he recited the whole, from the Guru Granth, like Ek Onkar Satnam. So he said that, and I was like, oh my God, this child, that 2.5, if he can just, remember that. Yeah, and I think that's when I took my first sort of sigh of relief. And it's been rewarding since then because his curiosity for life, the journeys he's been taking me on, like it's a roller coaster. Which at first I must say I wasn't, obviously, like it's not life as you know it. It's a
Yeah.
different life. So I had my reservations about it, but now I'm like, yalla, let's go. So yeah, we've been on this roller coaster. He goes to, a regular school. We are blessed to be in a city like Dubai, which is so sort of empowering. So children like him are, or adults are called people of determination, so the determined ones. And the city really holds and nurtures him. It's given us so many opportunities, and Dubai is like now the center of the world. So 8 years ago, or 10 years ago, where I'd be like telling my husband, come on, let's try this therapy now, let's try this therapy. Now I'm like, guess what? This guy's coming here and let's do this and let's do that. So, so much has shifted
Yeah.
um, from that phase of lack to now, an abundance of opportunities around us. So we seem to be in the right place at the right time. Yeah, and it's finally making sense, I guess.
And you've mentioned that your parenting journey has been unique in ways that many people may not be able to fully imagine or understand. Could you take us back to the beginning? What do you remember most vividly about becoming a parent?
I think, as I said, I first kind of literally like shut down,
Mm-hmm.
and and again, the doctors scared us so much. There was this whole thing like, be careful of exposing him to this virus and this bacteria. And I remember as he came out of the hospital after 2 months in the NICU, they were like, oh, this rotavirus is going along, and then he needs to be vaccinated and he needs to be vaccinated 5 times every month or whatever. It was just so much. Like I'd be stuck in my room, not wanting to take Anay out anywhere, with the fear of exposing him to these germs. Um, and so I think that did not help at all, And I think 2 years later, we made the decision to move to Bombay to, pursue more treatments and see what's going on. And it was there that I found Dr. Vijaya Venkat, who runs the Health Awareness Center in Worli. And she's the one who actually then taught me not to fear nature, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that the sunshine, the grass, the grounding, the fruits, they're all there to nurture him. And I remember when at first she asked me, what kind of fruit do you give him? And I'm like, fruit? No, I don't give him
Mm-hmm.
fruit. How much time do you take him in the sunlight? I'm like, sunlight? No, 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 he can't go out. And then when she gave me a plan of things to do, it was like, I remember that day clearly. I was shaking, like I was like, I have no idea how to live this life, or is
Yeah.
this even true? Because this is not what I have learned in the first 2.5 years. But then slowly, slowly we walked on. She asked me, to uh, consider some of his medications that he was on. He was on various medications to, they have a condition called spasticity where your, extremities kind of are tight. So the medication helps them to relax it. But the side effect of that is that they are kind of not themselves as well. They're not
Yeah.
as awake or as switched on. And they don't tell you, like, doctors don't always tell you the side effect of things, right? But then she's the one who took me through that, and she said, let's get his constipation corrected, let's introduce fruits and let's stop gluten, sugar. Um, and I'm telling you, like, I just met her at the right time because those things, they haven't been easy to do,
Yeah.
but it's made a whole lot of difference to who Anay is today. Like, that journey of talking to him, talking to my family. I lived with my in-laws back then, and I think all of us can understand the journey of suddenly coming and saying, nahi, ye aata nahi kha sakta hai,
Yeah.
no, can't have sugar. Like, no, we've always been having it and things are okay. Like,
Yeah.
but it was constant, and they understood where I came from. And but when everyone's eating, it's difficult for your child to not eat all of those things. So I faced those struggles then, but the beautiful thing is that Anay now understands it himself. So he knows
Mm-hmm.
that balance. I no longer have to, do play that role because I think you did it when he was growing up. And so now he says, like, gluten, I want to balance it out. I'm off dairy. He'll be like careful about sugar. He's not into candies and stuff. And all of these things, I mean, I'm sure like, normal kids need it, but in his case, it's all the more because, you just, like, for example, too much sugar aggravates his drooling. So he's aware of these conditions, and he's already taking care of it. So
Yeah.
it's challenges, but then, it helped us, I guess.
Yeah. And when did the move back to Dubai happened?
So we actually traveled. We were in Bombay, and then we spent, I think, 2 or 3 years in Kerala.
Mm-hmm.
Also in Cochin, we did acupuncture for him, which played its own part, I guess. And then we then spent some time in Tamil Nadu, trying to get his eyes worked on. So we traveled around India. And then there came a point where my husband's like, we're doing 15 days Kerala, 15 days Bombay. We were just doing too much traveling. And And I was like, I think 4 or 5 at the time, and we're like, Indian schools actually were a big issue. We tried
Yeah.
to take him to nursery. Oh my God, like the attitude in India is just, it needs a lot of work, honestly.
Yeah.
The schools weren't receptive at all, nurseries around us. And um, when my husband's like, now let's try and give him stability and regular life, is when we started looking at Dubai. And then we came here. The nurseries like just accepted us with open arms. They're like, of course, like, and that's where the journey happened. And then I thought school was going to be a battle. But
Yeah.
honestly, like I remember speaking to I just went to one school and which I had done my research and my friend said, why don't you try this particular school? And I went in there and I just said that I spoke to the inclusion lead. I said, listen, you take children on the spectrum, you take children with ADHD. Here's my son who's absolutely cognitively fine. He's never going to be an issue in your classroom, but he's on a wheelchair, he has physical needs. So please give it a try. And then I remember he calling the principal came of the school, and then she said she just wanted to watch him with his caretaker, the
Mm-hmm.
one who care for him in school. And she saw that and she's like, let's do it because his safety is most important.
Wow.
And because the caretaker and him had that relationship, she felt comfortable and she's like, let's do it. And Anna is still in that school.
Wow.
Um, the school's growing with him. They didn't have a ramp, at first, and then the ramps went up with him. The elevators have gone up with him. Classrooms have been shifted to accommodate him. So much like the schools, it's not the most perfect school, but
Yeah.
with us.
It
Um,
sounds the most perfect school.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they've really embraced him with open arms, and
Yeah.
they try whatever they can do to
Yeah.
sort of make him included. Um, and yeah, as I said, like it all starts with the leadership in this
Yeah.
country, which is
Yeah.
so like accommodative and provides them with a platform for so many different talents. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And where would you place yourself today, not just as a parent, but as a professional, a woman, and an individual with her own inner landscape?
Um, I I mean, I've come a long way, right? So when Anay was born, I quit my full-time job to sit at home. And then I think he needed that time and
Yeah.
attention. And I was lucky enough to, be in a place where my husband could help us as well. And it was okay to be home. And I tried, 8 years of being home, and then I tried to go back into full-time jobs with a little flexibility. It was so difficult. Nobody was really open to, remote work or flexible work at that time. And then COVID happened.
Hmm.
And as challenging as COVID was, I think there is that positive side that it
Yeah.
left us, which is it taught us how to trust people, to work
Yeah.
remotely,
Yeah.
flexibly. Suddenly life was as important as work, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then that shifted things. So I went back. I met my current employer, and she's a dream boss, honestly. Like she's a mom
Wow.
herself. So she was, I mean, I only like joined her for a month, but I remember a week being in, I'm like, I hope she keeps me here full time. Like, that was a culture that I just didn't know
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
Because even back in the day when I was working full time, that culture of respect and, of uh, keeping life and work together and being able to give attention to both, and someone who understands that was just so different. So yeah, I found that balance, and now I'm back into full-time work, and I think life's come a full circle, where there is a balance of my own identity, what I want to do, as well as being able to support Anne a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember when Anne was growing up, and everyone would come and tell me of that oxygen mask story in the flight.
Yeah.
Like, when there is an emergency, you first have to put the mask on yourself before you do it for anyone else. And that seemed like such a foreign concept back then. I'm like, are you guys even okay? Like, my son needs that mask before, you know? Um, and I was just like, these guys just don't understand me. What are they even talking about? But now having and like, worked on myself and having energized myself, I think I bring a better mom and a better wife and a better daughter. So
Yeah.
it's so important to prioritize yourself
Yeah.
and work on yourself.
Yeah, beautiful. And what does a usual day in your life look like? Both the logistical routine and the emotional rhythm of it.
So I mean, your usual days, like, we wake up, we need to help Anay through dressing up and all of that, getting him up into school. So my husband helps with the drop-offs, which gives me that hour in the morning, to just ground myself and look after my body, do my yoga and stuff. And then I'm off to work. He's off to his day, and then I pick Anay up days that I'm going into the office. So I take a break at 3, bring him back home, and then I have a couple of hours of work left. While he sort of unwinds from school, and then at about 6:30 we sit down. And I remember there was a time when I thought every minute of therapy was important for him. So I would
Mm,
literally, like, I think put everyone into this flurry, like, no, 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 you can't waste time. This needs to happen, then this needs to happen, then this needs to happen. And then I realized I'm going berserk, basically, and making everyone around me go berserk. So now our evenings are more like, Anna, we need to do therapy, and he knows it as well. So he's like, Mom, let's actually ask him now. It's less me telling him what to do and he telling me. I'm like, you guide me. We have 2.5 hours. What should we do?
mm,
And then it's always like, it's some days we're cycling downstairs. Some days he'll want help with his homework. Some days I'd be like, how are you feeling in your body? Maybe we need to spend more time today, releasing your hips or spine or whatever it is. So we found that balance that works for ourselves. And
beautiful.
then, yeah, we just, wind up the day.
And if I were to ask you, a very kind of a big picture question, how has parenthood changed the way of living for you? Do you feel like the same person you were before Anay arrived?
I think I'm not even the same person after he was born. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, of course, it's a totally different shift. And where I thought that this was a block in my life, it hasn't. It's only actually nourished me. And this is why I think that the lens with which you look through life is so, so important. Like, it's like I follow the spiritual path, and our master always says that it's the cards have already been dealt to you, right?
Mm,
But it's what you do with those cards. So that lens of perspective is so important. And coming from a perspective that life is happening, in your favor and not against you, just switch that switch helps immensely.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, even like if you were to just look at he's 14 now. So in the last 14 years, it's gone from no, like this is a break in my life, or my life is over, or whatever. None of that has actually happened once you turn that switch the other way.
Yeah, yeah. And and are there parts of you that he has helped you grow into patience, advocacy, acceptance, or maybe something else?
So, what I believe, or my learning has been now, is that actually we have fears that we already sort of, through our childhood, we carry certain fears within us. And then that gets amplified when we
Mm,
have our children. And so I think what's important, and he showed me the mirror to all the fears that I had within myself even before he was born.
mm,
And it's actually an opportunity to now work on them,
mm,
because I've seen that when sort of, when change happens, I don't take it very well, or I get scared really easily when, I lose routine.
yeah.
And I realized that this isn't something that has happened after he's born. Like, those were fears that I held within me already, even before, and perhaps are stemming from my childhood, or I don't know where, but they need addressed. So I
Mm,
feel like for me, he's shown me the mirror of where healing had to happen for me.
mm,
Um, and because of his journey, I've gone into like this mind, body, soul healing versus just what we see physically. So it's taken me to depths, which I wouldn't have gone otherwise. I'd be very surface level, but now, I see life through a very different, deep lens.
yeah, yeah. And how do you carve out time for yourself with the demands of parenting, especially with the layers of healthcare, support needs, and emotional labor that comes with raising a child with CP?
I think family support is really important. Like, I don't think I would have been able to do what I can do if it wasn't for my husband's help, like now. And then when he was growing up, and my in-laws, like my mom-in-law, I remember she just had the whole house taken care of, everything taken care of. And Manish was like looking after all the monetary business side of things. And that left me with my core responsibility to focus on Anay. So
Yeah,
if you're trying to do everything, then how can you focus? But if you need your support system, they are the ones really that can make all the difference. So, I mean, trying to do everything yourself is just, I don't know how moms do it, but I feel like our support system is so, so important. So, but be it my parents, we all work together really well to try and help me and my husband, work
yeah,
around the situation. So yeah, the only way, like I mean, I can find time for myself because my husband takes all over that role of spending time with Anay or looking after certain tasks. So together, we make sure that each one of us has that space to fill ourselves up, so we can give Anay better.
yeah, yeah. And you talked about the support system. On that note, what does your village look like? The people, the systems, professionals, or communities that hold you up?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, right? They say it takes a village, but when you have a child with additional conditions, it definitely takes a village. And I think, finding your angels, as I call them, is not always a straightforward task. I wish somebody would just say, that person's the best physiotherapist for your child, and then
Mm,
you go, and then you go, but everything is such a journey, right? And
yeah,
as they evolve, the practitioners you need in your life also evolve. So, I mean, you just have to hold space that whoever will come into your life, even if they're not the right person today, but they will lead you to something better.
yeah.
So I think in my tribe, I'd say physiotherapist, Anay's physiotherapist right now, like shout out to her. She's changed our life, honestly.
Wow.
So the way she looks at him, the way she empowers him, the way she gives me perspective. Oh my God, shout out to Mega if she ever listens to this. So she would be in my tribe. And then I'd say my homeopath, she changed my life again. As I said, I had shut down from life. And the way she works is, which I didn't find these homeopaths back in India. I don't know if there are. But the way my homeopath worked was, it was always like, what are you feeling? She works on my feelings and
Mm,
not on the physical, like if I'm down with cold, fever, or if I've broken into an allergy or anything. She's always like, what are you feeling? She went
mm.
behind the physical into the emotion. And I think she's played a huge role with Anne and myself. Um, the funny thing is, anytime I go to these healers for Anne, they're like, no, 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 let's park Anne aside first, you.
The
Because
oxygen mask.
yeah, and I think, like they can evolve, but if we stay small, then are
Mm,
we going to let them evolve, you
yeah.
know? So, which is where, like, so I would say that, and then my body talk practitioner is also in my village. Like, she's helped me immensely get over my fears. And same for Anne, like, it's those things where you've addressed the nutrition aspect of things, right? And through the Health Awareness Center that we learned, and then we kind of found someone in homeopathy to address your day-to-day issues. And then with my body talk practitioner, she kind of goes beyond, I mean, I don't know whether you believe in the concept of birth and rebirth, but, she goes back um, to your different lifetimes and sees where that fear is stemming from. And, she
Wow.
helps kind of give you perspective, clears that if you're facing a block in how you're looking at work, for example, or money, she kind of helps you um, bring that to light, like, that you're not even aware of. It's probably sitting somewhere in your subconscious mind. She brings that out. So I think she'd be in my tribe as well. And then, of course, my family. Like I couldn't have done it without them.
Wow. Wow.
And the school, let's not forget the school, let's not
Yeah.
forget my work. Like if it wouldn't be for my CEO, like I wouldn't have been able to juggle all these things. So
Yeah.
I remember I think it was 2 years ago, Anay received a grant for a treatment I really wanted him to do, which is called the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And then that required Anay to be going to the center for, I think, 5 days a week over 6 months.
Wow.
And he needed to spend like 2 hours there in the chamber. And I was like, how am I going to do it? And she's like, no, we got you, like do it. You can work from there, or days that you need to go into the chamber, work around and make up for the time in the evenings. And like, she was just so flexible. So if you don't have that support system at work, like, how are you going to be able to spread your wings, to go and find these other places? So, yeah, I think all of those people are in my village, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Beautiful. And, speaking of that, can you think of a moment when the demands of life, work, and parenting kind of collided and you still found a way through?
I think that's happened at various times in this journey of 14 years. But I must say that at every time it's kind of shaken me quite a lot. But ever since I think it was like 2.5 years ago that I found my body talk practitioner. When things come together, I just know now who to reach out to
Yeah.
help get that moment of sanity,
Yeah.
and that things are going to be okay. I think we need people. We need to learn how to reach out for help. And we
Mm.
need to stop being like, I can do this all by myself, because maybe you can, and there are moments, but it's important to recognize in yourself when you need help and when you can do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I think receiving has been very difficult for me. Like, I'm a giver.
Mm.
So receiving has been a journey of its own. But yeah, I've come to learn that there are days and there are going to be moments in life when it's going to be so difficult, and it's okay to reach out and ask for help. And when life comes to a situation like that where I need to balance so many plates, I do reach out for help. Whether
Yeah.
it's my body talk practitioner, my homeopath, whether it's talking to my mom,
Yeah.
my siblings, they help me get perspective, which I think you can't when you're in it yourself
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you think of the last time you felt overwhelmed as a parent?
Yesterday, and I was like, I wanna not do this podcast because I want to come to this podcast with better energy.
Yeah.
Um, and I was so overwhelmed yesterday because Anay's caretaker is going on leave, and I wanted
Oh.
clarity whether he was going to come back or not. So I asked him and I said, I need to plan accordingly. And then he's like, no, I don't want to come back. And at first, my ego is like, okay, no, like I just left it there. I didn't get into a conversation with him. And then some part of me was like, because Anna is so well taken care of, with the support system, is where I can focus on other things. But when that support system isn't there, then he's my first priority, and I need to, like direct
Yeah.
everything I need to over there. And and then, obviously conversations with my husband, like how do we address it? And it was getting so overwhelming at home for me. So I stepped down for a walk, spoke to my mom, spoke to my brother, got perspective from them, sat through my Mindscape workshop. And so I don't know if you know of Mindscape,
No, I
but it's
don't.
a beautiful way of accessing the subconscious.
Mm.
And basically, what it says is we're all one, right? So it's like
Mm.
the sun is one, but the rays of light make you feel like the rays are separate to the sun, but it's not. It's
Mm.
part of it. So basically, in a Mindscape workshop, you reach out for solutions, basically,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you reach out for direction. Or if you find difficult to talk to somebody because of whatever the situation is, in that subconscious mind, you can have those conversations. So I did a mix of those, and then finally had the courage at night to sit down with my help, and I was like, what is bothering you? Like I
Yeah.
should have had that
Yeah.
conversation when he said no, but I just couldn't. And then finally at night, and we sorted things out, and
Wow.
and I, um, you need to tell me what's bothering you so I can help you because you and Anay have this relationship and I don't want to rock that boat. So yeah, ultimately through all of that, we found a solution. And this morning I was in a better place to do this
Wow.
podcast.
Hmm. Wow. And that brings me to this reality of raising a child with additional needs. How do you and your family handle the emotional realities, the hopes, the frustrations, joys of raising a child with additional needs who is different than what you see otherwise?
I mean, with Anay, right? He's different, but when he sits down with you, right, he's like any normal child. Like he will talk to you. He has the same, like it's all normal when you look at it like that, right? So
Yeah.
that really helps
Hmm.
because and he's also very old soul. So if I'm facing, challenges, he always comes around and tells me, like, Mama, I think you should look at it like this,
Wow.
or like if I get into something with my husband, if we have a conflict of thought or whatever, and then he'll be like, Mama, why don't you look at it like that? Like I feel like I am the child and he's my parent on many days. So with him, it's a very unique, like, it's things like that which make me feel like he's going to be fine,
Yeah.
and like if he can parent his mom on many days, and then he'll be fine. So there are days when obviously the worry takes over. What's going to happen? He's my only child. He doesn't have siblings. But then you kind of have to have faith again that the universe has done all of this for a reason. There is a reason why he was born alone in this family. You know, he has my siblings, children, for example, to tap into or whatever. But life will figure itself out. I just need to take care of today,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so this moment is all you have, and you just have to try and make the most of today and live in the today.
Yeah, yeah. And that brings me to a larger question, of the ecosystem around us and the world around us. What misconceptions do you think people commonly carry about parenting a child with CP, and what would you want them to understand instead?
I don't think I'm there yet with this
Mhm.
question. Because I mean, the one thing is, and again, I feel like this is more my, I guess, it holds me back. Like, I think when Anay was born, I felt at the time that I was on a different journey and I felt like people wouldn't understand me. So I kind of took a step back socially and I like stopped mingling with my friends. And, if even like if someone would invite me to a birthday party, it felt like, oh my God, such a load because no one else is like me there.
Yeah, yeah,
So I kept withdrawing from social gatherings, and I think I lost out on most of my friends in the process. And not because they didn't try enough. I think they tried to a point where then they want to give you your space as well, right?
yeah,
Like if she's comfortable in this, then let's just give her that. And I think still socially, it's been very, very difficult for me to step out because children are on different journeys, right? And I haven't found a way. So I don't think it's as much people as much as it's us
yeah,
within ourselves, And once we learn how to overcome that within us, then we have the ability to break those misconceptions wherever we may find them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
Beautiful.
I mean, that's what I'd say.
And and tell me, you talk about Anay. Oh, he seems like such a wise one. What has he taught you about joy or about strength, patience, or perspective?
So much. I think he's taught me everything. He's taught me, just to be like, be relaxed about life, honestly. Like, have interests. He's got varied interests. He can talk to anybody. He teaches me that. Like, he teaches me to be more open. I tell him, Anay, at work, I'm just like, Or he sees me and in calls, right? Because I work remotely. And he's like, Mom, you never small talk with anybody. Like, why? Why don't you ask people how their day was? Or, like he'll ask me, what were your top three good and bad things about the day? Like, that's something, honestly, like as a parent, I should be doing that with him. But I'm telling you, he does it with me. And then he'll show me the way, like, Mom, I think, like you should talk to people. You should show interest in their life. It's okay. Just relax. You don't have to work so hard. Just take it easy. So yeah, all of that I've really learned with him. And I just feel like, there is no matter how much you try to get to somewhere, like things are just going to work at their own speed
Yeah,
and they have a life of their own. And it's so, so important to go with the flow.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. And what about some small,
Sorry, I can't hear you now.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. What about some small moments from your parenting journey where, something quiet or ordinary has happened, but that has had a surprisingly big impact on you?
I would say that earlier, when Anay was younger, if you were to ask me to just take care of him by myself, I'd get very overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And lately, I've seen, life has thrown things around us where my health takes an off on Sunday, and my husband's obviously not being, like, for some or the other reason, a couple of Sundays he hasn't been able to be around. But then I realized that it's not overwhelming me as much, and that we're having such a nice bond together and we can manage the day together. Like, it
Wow.
doesn't mean that I have to be at home by myself. Again, we have something called the POD taxis here, which have, the wheelchairs go into it really smoothly. Because as he's getting older, physically being able to transition him just by myself,
Yeah.
it's sometimes a challenge. But then, work, just having that normal day with him by myself, being able to do fun things, being able to be outside, and not living with these fears. It's so basic, but it's so rewarding because it was a huge block for me before. But then now,
Yeah.
he's open to doing this, and I am open. I think he's always been open, but I haven't been so open. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
dad's not here. It's Sunday, we just have to be home. And then slowly, finding our rhythm to being able to explore things when no one's around and being able to manage it is a normal thing, ordinary thing, but it's rewarding.
What does he like to do outside?
What is he? He loves to chat with people. Like, going
Wow.
to the metro is his most favorite thing because he'll, get into people's random stories and, he'll ask them like things about, like, if depending on who he meets, right? He'll
Yeah.
adapt conversations. So yeah, he loves doing that. He loves to cycle around. He loves to shop around. And yeah, I mean, we love eating food outside. We love exploring the city and where things are accessible, all of that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And if you could sit across from your pre-parent self, the woman you were before Anay, or even as you have mentioned quite a few times, when you just had Anay, what would you want to tell her?
things are going to be amazing. Don't don't
Mm,
worry. Honestly, just do not worry. Like, the future is so bright, and
yeah.
I think that, I mean, that I would tell to the woman who delivered and who had shut down and who didn't know what to expect from life. But to the old me as well, I mean, life's been, great, honestly, and it's been supportive. I didn't see myself coming so far. I remember when I finished school, all my friends were, off to the US or Australia, and I asked my dad, I said, I really want to go, because I was like a bright child at school, always winning trophies and, the topper, and I wanted to go and study abroad. And my dad was like, no, you can't go anywhere where we don't have family. And then the only family he could trust was my aunt, my bua, and she was in Ahmedabad. So he sent me to uni in Ahmedabad, and I remember going. I mean, it was one of the best colleges there, but it was still run by Gujarat University, and I was a CBSE student. And when I was sitting there, I was like, "What is this? What am I here to learn? Everything's so easy," and I'm like, "What is going to happen to my life?" But things have just turned out to be fine. I really, really wanted to be something in life, and very early on when I was in Ahmedabad, I remember sitting in my room. It was the first days of radio, like modern radio in India.
Yeah.
And I was in my room and listening to Radio Mirchi, and I'm like, like this is so cool. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be there and talk. And I really want to be there. And that's all I just said to myself that day. And I think a couple of months down the line when I was graduating, they opened this RJ Hunt, and there were like 5,000 people there auditioning. And I was in the top 10 and then in the five, and I was eventually there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, it's actually happening. And then I remember when I came to Dubai and my sister wanted to study, and my mom's like, I don't want to have one daughter here and one daughter there. So I'd like you both to be in Dubai together. And I was like, that sounds good because I'd had enough of Ahmedabad by then. And I remember dropping my sister off to university with my dad and looking around. There is a place here called Knowledge Village, where
Mm-hmm.
all the universities are. And I'm like, how cool. And just by Knowledge Village was Dubai Media City. And I'm like, what if I get a job here? That'd be so cool. And then, 15 days later, like I applied for volunteering at Dubai International Film Festival. It was their inaugural year. I got the volunteer opportunity, and guess where the film festival was happening? In Dubai Media City. And my then first employer hired me based on the volunteering I did immediately. So a month later, there I was working.
Yeah.
And then I think somewhere down the line, I forgot that you can ask for things and receive them as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot about that in these last couple of years. Last, not couple, maybe a decade actually. And now I'm trying to remind myself that things can happen. You can ask and things do come true.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And I'm aware of the time constraints you have, so I'm going to ask you my last question for today for this show. If there's one piece of advice or insight you'd like to leave our listeners with, not something because you're wary of giving advice, but something that captures who you are and what you stand for, what would it be?
So, in terms of advice, I would only say that please, like, water yourself first. Like, you cannot give from an empty bottle, or
Yeah.
so you need to like fill yourself up. And it's I know it sounds like, I mean, it didn't make sense to me, but having nurtured myself, I feel like we bring a much better version to our family. So I think that would be my first piece of advice. And then I'd say, like, no matter how big the challenge is, just get through today, and get through today with the right mindset and the right lens, and tomorrow will take care of itself.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know what I love the most about how you say things? There's such a calm clarity that you have, and it's just infectious. Like I just want to. I don't even think that I'm ready to say bye yet.
I think if you ask Anay, he'll be like, my mom is anything but calm.
But okay, maybe it's then the appearances.
I
But
think I think in a good moment where I'm not in my fight or flight mode, then yeah, I think I am calm as a
yeah,
person. But it's yeah, when you
yeah.
step out of it.
Yeah, I think it's also a testament to how much work it must have been for you to, come to this moment where to an outsider you can feel or you can exude that calmness and clarity and, purpose. It radiates out of you. Let me just say that.
Thank
It's just beautiful to see. But thank you so much for sharing so openly, so honestly, and with Again, I'm going to use that phrase with such calm clarity. Listening to you today has been, it has reminded me how many different forms love can take: advocacy, patience, resilience, humor, tenderness, and the quiet courage of showing up today and then tomorrow taking care of itself. I love that. I really, really love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so nice. Like time just flew, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll catch up later, but we're going to wrap this up now. To everyone listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave us a review so Parenthood can continue reaching more parents who need community and companionship on their own journeys. I'm Neha, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.